your name?
James Salghan Jr.
And what branch of the service were you in?
I was a sergeant in the United States Marine Corps.
And the date that you entered?
Right out of high school, 1984, November 1984.
Okay. And where did you enter the service?
I went through the Albany MEPS.
And the date that you were discharged?
I got out after the Gulf War, 91, I believe.
And you were in active service?
Yes, active duty for just over 7 years.
And the highest rank that you held was?
I was a sergeant in the Marine Corps, E5.
And what wars, theaters, campaigns, or locations were you involved in?
I started out Paris Island, South Carolina. That's where I went to boot camp. From there, I went to North Carolina for infantry training school, where I learned about the TOW missile system, anti-tank missile, which became my specialty. From there, I was sent to California, to Camp Pendleton. I was stationed at various bases there. From there, I made various trips overseas to Okinawa, Japan, South Korea, Thailand, and various trips up and down the West Coast, Mountain Warfare Training School in Northern California, out in the snow, Fleet Week in San Francisco, made a few trips there to set up our weapon systems for civilians to come meet the Marines and see what the tax money was paying for. A lot of traveling there. But as far as theaters of war, I shipped over for Desert Storm. After Saddam invaded Kuwait, we initially went into Saudi Arabia to hold him there so he wouldn't come into Saudi Arabia. And after intense negotiations, threats, etc., he wasn't going to leave Kuwait. We went in, Desert Storm began replacing Desert Shield. So those were two theaters of operations that I worked in.
Okay. And what were your general duties, skills, or ratings?
As I said earlier, I was a TOW missileman. TOW stands for Coup Blanche, Optically Tracked Wire Command Guided Missile System. It's a long word for approximately 4-foot missile that flies up to 2.5 miles, and it's wire guided, meaning that there are two wires that unspool at the end of the missile, and you're actually flying this missile remote control versus the 2.5 miles of wire that unspool the whole length of the missile's flight. The missiles are primarily for blowing up tanks. So that was my occupational specialty, and by attaining rank, I became a sergeant, and I was a squad leader, where I wasn't actively firing these missiles, but controlling and guiding the men who were doing the shooting for us.
And did you have combat service? Oh, we already
Yes.
discussed that, you did. And when were you first under fire?
First under fire during Desert Storm. I guess you could say I first felt I was under fire, or we as a group felt we were under fire when the Scud missiles were launched. When you heard of the first Scud missile being launched, and it's a wide open desert, but each person thought that missile would come and wreck for them, you know? And half of them blew up in the air. Some of them supposedly are Patriot missiles shot down. We found out later that the Patriot missiles weren't as effective as we thought they were. Most of the Scuds fell apart on their own. But that was the first time we felt we were under fire. First time we were definitely under fire was when the ground war started. And that lasted 4 days.
And what were your feelings in combat?
Well, as a Marine, Marines are a proud bunch. We all wanted to do well. We all wanted to do really well, and didn't want to lose. You know, didn't want to come back with any unfinished business. You know, unfortunately, you know, previous wars like Vietnam, a lot of the guys came back, felt they weren't allowed to finish. Some people felt that they had lost. A lot of the guys came back and felt they didn't lose, but they did everything that they were told to do. And a war is pretty much the government's to win or lose. So we didn't want to lose. We wanted to go in there, get it done quick, obviously, and with as little bloodshed as possible, not lose any of our friends, and get in and get out, but come home victorious.
And did you receive any injuries, wounds, or illnesses?
No.
What was daily life like, and did your equipment work well? and was it superior to the enemy?
Daily life through 5 months, 6 months leading up to the ground war was camping in the desert, cleaning your weapons. It was boring. I don't know if you've seen the movie Jarhead. I wouldn't say it was very similar to that. There's some excerpts from my experiences that were similar to Jarhead, but we had a lot more discipline. I mean, we still went about our daily routine as Marines, you know, and stay clean shaven, etc. Did all the drills and just prepared. I wouldn't say it was boring, but it was a long camping trip without a lot of amenities. And what was that? Do you have after the question?
Oh yeah. How was your equipment? Did it work well?
Our equipment, yeah, we didn't have any failures. We'd been experienced with our equipment for a long time prior to going over there, and it was technologically superior to the enemy. They had old Russian stuff. We had the new American stuff. We had longer range. We could reach them with our missiles, and they couldn't reach us. I mean, I could see them, they could see me. I could shoot at them, hit them, they could shoot at me, but their tank rounds wouldn't travel as far. The whole missile flies further than the tank round. It actually flies further than our M1 tank rounds did, so we had the ability to reach out and hit them where it didn't matter if they could see us, they couldn't hit us. And we had night vision, which they didn't have. So, yeah, we were technologically experienced, and through constant cleaning, our gear held up.
And what was your unit like?
My unit was, we were close-knit guys because we spent a lot of time prior to the war together, at least 3 or 4 years. We've done various deployments overseas where you have a lot of fun together, and you really learn a lot about a guy, drinking and partying with him on your off time, and see who your friends are, who's a stand-up guy, etc. And so we went in there really tight-knit, and I think that helped a lot versus, say, a draft where they just start pulling people in, sending replacements into units where you really don't know what a man's about. We had time to really know each other prior to having to lay it all on the line.
And how were your officers?
Officers, yeah, it was a mixed bag. We had some young, motivated officers, junior officers, and we had some that didn't seem as professional. You know, I mean, it's just like anything else. You get your 10 percenters, and they weren't all great. They weren't all bad. We didn't interact much with our officers. We received the orders, and the NCOs handled it from there. And everything's pretty much radio communication there too, so it's not a lot of face-to-face interaction once because you're so spread out. The officers don't talk to each individual. You can't pull everybody from their positions spread across a half-mile or mile line and talk to them all at once when you're supposed to be holding a line. So mainly, you got your orders over the radio, and it was up to the NCOs to have their, non-officers, non-commissioned officers, their enlisted personnel carry out the duties, the orders, etc.
Did you receive any decorations, medals, or commendations?
I did. Not any individual ones for extreme bravery or anything. I did as an individual, but anyone in theater received medal from Saudi Arabia, which was very nice looking, beautiful medal for protecting them from Saddam going in. You get your Kuwaiti Desert Storm action ribbon, my combat action ribbon, which is probably the one most significant to me. That's only given to people who were actually in combat. You had to actually be there facing the enemy being shot at or in danger of being shot at and firing back, etc. So, but they were given to everyone who did the same job I did. I didn't receive any bronze stars or anything like that. I should have, but nobody saw what I did. And I can't tell you about it.
What was the funniest or most inspiring thing you experienced during your service?
What I'd like to say is, as a sergeant in the Marines, you get to picture a, tough guy, pardon my language, prick, hard ass, hard nose, whatever. And I was, even in peacetime. And we had some who were softer during peacetime. And when it came time to go overseas, when Saddam did invade Kuwait, and we found out we were going, I had enlisted men who didn't prefer me during peacetime, asked if they could join my squad when it was time to go over into wartime. To me, I thought that really inspired me. I mean, that was I really felt it right here, you know, to know that, yeah, the fun and games is over, now it's time to get serious, and we want to be with Sergeant Salghan, you know, not Sergeant so-and-so who lets us hang out and bullshits with us and doesn't really hold us to the line. That inspired me.
And what persons will you remember best from your service, and why?
Well, mainly my guys. I mean, I remember them all, but I stay in touch with at least one or two. One of them was a good friend, Sergeant Lemus. You know, we were drinking buddies, military slang. We got out together whenever we went out. Can't take everybody out. You always find a close-knit group. And I still see him from time to time. He's an over-the-road trucker, drives a tractor trailer. He hits all the states, but he gets to see all my buddies. And whenever he comes through New York, it's close enough by, he'll swing by, or I'll give him his truck and we'll go see, say, one of our friends in Chicago or whatever, and I'll take a train back. He's probably the best friend I had in the Marines that I still talk to.
And what experience left the greatest impressions on you?
Greatest good impression would be seeing how everyone came together and actually did their job once they were faced with, you know, impending death, incoming fire, etc. And you don't know what you're going to do. Nobody does. And you can't fault someone who freaks out or gets scared because you've got no control over it. You enter the service with the best of intentions, and the most realistic training in the world is still on the back of your head. It's only training, all these safeguards have been taking place, I'm not going to get hurt, so you go for it. But when all those safeguards are taken away, and it's actual weaponry being aimed and shot at you, it was good to see everybody still hold the line and pull together and rush forward into this mess, you know, through the smoke of the oil fires and artillery, etc., landing around you. And that inspired me, that impressed me, seeing everybody come together like that and still be able to do their job. And a lot of that I give credit to the Marine Corps, the way they just stress it's the brotherhood, and you got to take care of your buddy and he'll take care of you. And just us being together so many years as a unit prior to being put there. Now if you put a bunch of strangers in that same position, I believe that even with all the training, I believe that they were strangers and they didn't have the close bond that we had of training together, sweating together, laughing together, crying together, fighting together, drinking together, etc. They wouldn't have been as successful as we were.
And on that note, I want to thank you for serving, and thank you for this interview.
You're welcome.
And it was a pleasure.
Okay. Thank you.
That was not bad.